think 9 a.m. And my niece was now ironing. So I said, "Oh yeah, there were her. Go school." Or so yeah, I said, Sisi,
when did you come?
Yes, so that's what I said. Only to wake up yesterday, and there's a whole hula baloo about placements for SHS students.
Yeah.
I got reports from Francipim and some other schools. Some Form 1 students have been able to report, but there are millions of other students, or thousands, let me put it that way, to be moderate, thousands of people or of other students who have not even been able to go through with this whole placement. So this morning, whilst we're coming in the car, I was like, okay, what's going on? I don't understand. So Form 3s are home. Some Form 1s are in school. Other Form 1s don't know where they are going. What's happening with this whole computerized system? So I was speaking to Shanti. I was like, maybe you are younger, you are on the ground. What's going on? Because it looks like I cannot keep up anymore. How is it that for a country that says that we have a computerized system for placement, SHS placement? So some went through in September. They've been able to secure their SHS schools. They've picked up their prospectus. They are in school, about to start studying and all. And there's another half or 3/4 or whatever who don't even know where they're going. The same educational system. Exactly. I'm not sure. Is it just me?
Look,
or there's something wrong?
No, you are not. Helen, good morning.
I was going to say good morning to you, Cookie. You started all guns blazing this morning.
I don't get it.
You don't get it?
I'm very confused. I'm a very confused Ghanaian.
As are many parents also speaking about it. But when you go to some of these rural areas as well, they miss out on that opportunity to even use this computerized system.
Helen, thank you
so that's
very much
another can of worms to even open up when we talk about this SHS placement. It's caused a lot of parents grief.
But isn't this supposed to be, John, isn't this supposed to be central?
So
whether or not I have access to a computer in the village or not, this is supposed to be a central system where we can say that, okay, so for those in the OT region or for those in the Volta region, this is the center that you go to, you provide your details, and then they input it into the computer, and then the computer does its job. So I don't even have to have a personal computer of my own, because that's the situation. Many people, especially in the rural areas, do not even have they have young phones. They don't even have smartphones that can even have access to the internet. And even if they do, they don't have internet access. So what are the districts doing? What are the regions doing?
You see, for me, I think that we've had too many opportunities to rectify this problem, and we have failed at it. Because we didn't start the computer placement. I didn't go through computer placement.
I didn't either.
I mean, we had cards, and then the headmasters and mistresses will meet at one location. They'll look at your results. They will pick it up. Then they'll publish it on the school wall, and then you go and check. So then
that's where you go and check if you've been placed.
You know whether you've been offered your program of choice or not, and then you can go. Then we said, well, no, we're going to computerize this, and then have a certain computer sit somewhere and do the distribution, so that we don't get all the smart children in quote into one school, but we get to mix and match, so people get to learn peer review and all of that. Now we have had this problem, and at the advent of the Akufo-Addo-led government in 2017 or so, you saw the numbers of children that trooped to the Independence Square. You remember that? Parents were running up and down trying to fix it. That problem still exists, even though to a very large extent, it's been mitigated up to a point. But then it doesn't still make sense to parents to say my child had 9 and they can't find their first choice of school. It doesn't make sense anywhere that I had 8, I can't find my school. And the excuse is that, well, you chose that and you chose science here, and the people who came to do also applied to study science maybe had 7, you had 9, so the competition is keener there. For me, it doesn't still make sense.
It doesn't make sense to
me. Is it then a question of access? Because the two key elements of free SHS are access and quality. That's the argument that they've always made. So, is the quality good? That's the question you're asking. Is the access good? That's the next question. And we do know that in this country, last year, for example, the secondary schools had to delay reopening. You remember?
Yes.
Sometime around May.
Yes.
So that the children could come home, because Charles said that there's no food, there's no furniture. Charles repeated
even that
that
it took
problem.
them a long time to even admit.
Well, but Charles repeated that problem not so long ago. What have we done about it? So the problem is really access. And you see, you can't tell me, for example, that the schools are available, but people don't like the schools. If I live in Accra, and I had the opportunity to speak with some girls from the Accra Wesley Girls School. I did an expose. The government denied it flatly. I was insulted for it. Eventually, it turned out to be true. That somebody is coming from Kumasi, and the person has been offered a day school in Accra. This young girl is 16, 15, 17. And I saw them living on their own in an uncompleted building.
Just so they'll be able to
They're
go
living
to school,
close to a drinking spot, and the men are taking advantage of them.
And these are teenage girls.
These are teenage girls.
Yes.
So their hormones are up and running, all of the excesses around them. I saw it myself. Prior to that, there was some that was reported in the central region where parents were now going to hire rooms for their children. You remember all those issues?
Right.
So
Right.
the question of quality and access, not every parent will be bold enough to say, I want my child to travel 250 kilometers away from me, go to school, be on their own, find their own food. There's no control. There's no housemaster, no housemistress. There's no senior housemaster. There's no control. They are running their own affairs. Whether they decide to prep or not, that's their own problem. Not many parents will do that. In fact, if a parent does that, I find that problematic with that parent. Because you are not parenting, you are just feeding. Now, that problem, some of those problems still exist. Because go to the schools. Parents, even after we lifted the COVID restrictions, visitation to the schools have not been lifted. So if you had a daughter, say in Achimota or Kraka or St. Mary's or whatever it is, you cannot go and visit your children. That is the stark reality. Because their dormitories are choked, because the food is not available, because you don't have furniture. And that's why we have this checkered situation where I know somebody who went to school for Form 1 in 2020. They had only one term, and then COVID came. They shut down for the whole year, returned to school the next year, and they were in Form 2.
They were
Jump,
Form 2.
boom.
Yeah.
Then they did Form 2, they did some skirmishes, and then they returned, and then they went back Form 3, zoom.
See, that's an interesting point, because
then they are going to write their exam in July, August.
Yeah.
So and this person has been shortchanged.
Yeah.
He's not getting 3 years. And you say what?
Well, the president says that even
don't mind
with
the president.
COVID,
Don't mind the president.
the students didn't miss out on any education.
See,
so I think, some corners have been cut to make sure.
Which corners, honey?
You see, don't mind the president.
Which corners?
Don't mind the president. You see,
which corners, honey?
The former
All the corners at this point.
The former education minister came with his own idea of free SHS and a plan for it. This new education minister is also trying to implement a totally different thing. Can't you see? The children don't even have textbooks to start with.
Still.
It's been over, what, 2 years?
3 years.
It's almost 3 years.
The children don't have textbooks. And the president should give us a break. Because the president had opportunity to go to Row Road, what is now Kimbu Secondary School, with my father. He was a year behind him, with the likes of the B. Bashiru and Jobo. Most of them are late. He went to school there. Was that the situation? If he had gone through that, would he have gone to the UK and come back to come and teach economics at Accra Academy?
Because even when we have the quality
is dropping. The quality is dropping.
When we had the manual system that Johnny was talking about, we didn't have the situation that we are seeing on our screens right now. You don't find people cramming up in one central hall trying to scramble for which school I should get and which this will not happen. You probably will just find maybe 5 to 10 parents just lurking around because their wards couldn't get schools.
So they want to change the schools for them.
Something like that. 5 to 10 maximum.
But then where you are telling me that you have a system that is so smart,
And this
that is able to just have my data input into it.
Technology, you know.
Back then, we're choosing 3 schools. They're choosing 5 or 6 schools.
Now, and there's still a problem.
Do you appreciate the problem?
We used to choose only 3 schools. Now you choose 5 schools with technology. I mean, is this what technology does?
Do you appreciate the problem,
Ellen? Is this the type of chaos that technology causes? And that's why I asked.
And you see, the interesting thing is that the education minister, his deputies, the president, the vice, name them. Most of the people in government today, they brag about their schools. They talk about the Prempe, they talk about Busomtri, SHS, they brag about their schools. Was this how they were being treated when they were students? Because even before the child starts learning in school, the psychological makeup of the child is messed up. You have put that child through, and I saw it, parents running.
Look at this. Look at this.
It's not nice.
And to think that some of their peers are in school already. So when are these going to even get their placements, go and get ready, get uniforms, and get all the required items on the prospectus before they enter the school? So that's what Johnny's talking about. Exhaustion will set in before you start studying. You're already exhausted. So the children, and then you stay in school for 2-3 weeks, and then they tell you to come back home.
So the children get to the point where they do mafanasa. Any school that is thrown at them, they take it. Whether the school has a science lab or not, and they are supposed to be pursuing a science program, they take it.
And this is education.
Whether they have a kitchen for home economics or not, well, my father said, they take it.
Education we are joking with.
They take it.
It's very stressful. But looking at the scenes here, what that also tells me is that we just have no regard for Ghanaian time. The number of productive hours we lose queuing up for things like Ghana card, re-registration, student placements, things that you could be going out to make money.
Parents and students are frustrated.
And these are parents who have jobs. They have to be at work. They have to provide because even the price of trunks have gone up.
Exactly. And now, just because school is in session, look at how it's skyrocketed. And the same people will tell you that after this period, the prices come back to normal. Why must we have a situation?
I tell you what, my friend Kwesi Kwarteng is doing a fine job trying to explain.
I saw that explanation yesterday.
But you see, when the thing is not good, it is not good. And
there's no way you can polish it.
After 10 years of running a system, 10 years of running a system, or more than 10 years, you should not be having the same teething problems.
Never.
It means that there's something wrong with the back end, or there's something wrong with the people handling the system, or all the two are not running correctly.
Kwesi Kwarteng is ready. Take a listen to him again. Remind yourself of what he said. Coco, we're ready.
This year, based on the calendar that came out earlier on from the Ghana Education Service and from the Ghana TV Service, we are not going to have such an arrangement. And so we are going to see all our first year students going to school together without the division into different cohorts as we used to experience. There are about 3,897 schools or projects that were left at various stages of completion. I mean, for lack of better words, you can call them abandoned. Close to 1,000 projects had also been done, even in addition with the Get Fund project. Issues of double tracking, whether or not you are going to have it, is a policy statement. In policy decisions and policy statements, usually is at the prerogative of the president or the minister for education. The president had given himself between 5 to 7 years to do away with double track. So I'm sure after the time frame that was given, a definitive statement will be made on that.
That's Kwesi Kwarteng trying to do the Lord's work, but agenda is not agending because the reality. The reality is the same. See, I have friends who are university lecturers, and they tell you the quality of students that they have to engage at level 100 is terrible. Grammar not on point, consistency,
off the light and on the light. That's the type of English
everything is. I'm not saying the entirety of it. I have always been an advocate for free SHS. I believe that is a good policy, but the way we are implementing it now, with all the populism and with all the political twist that we've put to it. And I insist that there are 5 areas we should not politicize.
You mention that all the time.
Economics, security, education, and health. 5 areas. The moment you put real politicians there and not the technocrats, you are bound to fail. And check all the sectors I've mentioned. People who are masquerading as professionals instead of being the politicians that they are, and not allowing the technocrats at the ministries to take the lead. Because in every ministry, there's a technocrat who is a chief director. Every minister in this country has an advisor paid with our monies. So when you have the technocrats and the advisors there collecting their monies, and you still have such mess happening, you start and think, are they worth their paychecks? Are they worth their paycheck? Because they are putting everybody through stress by themselves. The Minister for Education's children doesn't school here. He's not part of this mess that he's supervising. He's not part of it. His children are not part of it. He knows. His children are not part of this mess, but he's supervising it. And he calls it that this is the best that could have ever happened. His children are not part of this mess. I salute him for putting students into engineering. I salute him. But I'm saying this mess
the STEM schools
that he's supervising, his children are not part of it. He knows why. Why should you have a caterer cooking, sharing the food and distributing to everybody, but his family? What has he put inside the food? What has he put inside the food?